Resistance Management School on realagriculture.com is brought to you by CropLife Canada.
Jay Stover here with realagriculture.com, and we're here for another edition of the Resistance Management School. And today I'm joined by Robin Bowness-Davidson of Alberta Agriculture and Forestry in Lacombe, Alberta. So today we're talking about resistance in the pulse crop, but what's the general state of resistance in pulse crops here?
At the moment, we definitely have some concerns, Jason. The group that we're most concerned about is the strobilurin group, which would be the group 11s. We're concerned with them primarily because those are the ones that have been used so significantly across the prairies. They've been used for quite a long time. It's been one of our major tools in our toolbox. So we're starting to see some resistance in some of our crops. It was initially identified in chickpeas. That we were seeing some issues with that, and that's probably because of the amount of fungicides that are applied to the chickpea crop. And then we've also seen that carry over into our field pea. It's been identified in field pea on the prairies as well, for the same reason, just a tool that we've used a lot. So there are some other chemicals out there. There is some research going on right now to see if we have any issues in some of those other active modes of action. But at the moment, it's the strobilurins we're most concerned about.
All right. So what can producers do to identify resistance in their crop?
I would say that if you are concerned about some issues in your field, just go out there and scout. Scouting your field, knowing what's out there, finding out what diseases they are, getting them properly identified to make sure you actually are dealing with the diseases you're thinking about. And so if you have a disease in your field, you've sprayed with a fungicide that is known to control or manage that disease, and you're still seeing that as a problem, that might be an indication that you might have some resistance areas in your field. It'll usually show up sporadically in the beginning, not necessarily the whole field.
All right, so what are we looking at when it comes to best management practices?
I would say our best practice is still rotation. It's difficult on the prairies to get a lot of crops in rotation, but if you're rotating your crops, then you're introducing different crops with different disease cycles. So any time that you can break that disease cycle by putting a different crop in is definitely one of those things you can do. I would say work with clean certified seed to start with so that you have increased vigor and plant health in your crop. Using fungicides only as necessary, and minimizing the use of the same mode of action over and over and over again is definitely one of those things they can do. So be familiar with what's in your field, manage it accordingly according to the label, and then make sure you're rotating your herbicides. That'll definitely help.
All right, are there management areas where farmers should increase vigilance? We're talking about scouting, weather monitoring for optimal timing, that sort of thing.
Definitely the major contributors to disease is, first of all, presence of the disease. So again, I alluded to scouting, knowing what's in your field, rotating your crops can definitely be. And then the other one is just keeping an eye on the weather. Weather is going to determine whether or not a disease that is present in your field actually becomes a major problem. In a dry year, for example, as we've had the past couple of years, in 2017 and 2018, it was quite dry. The disease levels were low, and so fungicide application was not quite as necessary. Whereas in a year like 2019, where there's huge areas across the prairies that have been very wet, it becomes more important to know what's in your field and use your fungicides properly.
All right, so scout, scout, scout.
Scout, 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 rotate, rotate, rotate. I mean, how many times have we heard that? We all say it over and over and over again, but it truly is the best tool we have in our toolbox. Again, making sure we are using the fungicides, the seed treatments, picking our fields properly, things like that. Anything that gives your crop an advantage gives it the ability to fight diseases as they potentially can move in.
All right, thanks a lot, Robin.
You're welcome, thank you.